friends, it's Diane the Creative Inkster, and it is Wednesday, July the 5th. This is the product we're going to play with tonight, some soft pastels. Now, I don't know if you've got these in your craft stash or not. Stampin' Up! Used to have something else like it, a pastel product, and these are a little newer, been around for a couple of years now. It's just a new way to use inks in a different format. They are in our Stampin' Up! Colors. On here, they do list them. So we've got Night of Navy, Gorgeous Grape, Mossy Meadow, Coastal Cabana, Granny Apple Green, Poppy Parade, Mango Melody, and Daffodil Delight. Those are really close looking in color, but the daffodil is the more yellowy one. This package is, I should pull it up in the catalog to show you because I don't know the price of it off the top of my head. In the back of your catalog, consider this a learning opportunity. We have an accessories index on page 173 of the annual catalog, and in the ink and coloring is where I think you're going to find this on page 136. And here we have various different coloring tools. Oh, isn't that interesting? I thought they'd be here. Soft pastels. They are not. Would you look at that? Interesting. Well, I am not sure, but I wanted to share this with you. I hope they're not retired because I've enjoyed playing with them, and I thought it would be fun to do some new stuff with them. Well, let's just play with it anyway, because you may very well have them in your stash, and it's kind of a fun thing to play with. So I pulled out a couple of large background stamps. Hi, Vicki. Never tried working with them? Exactly. It's always fun to try something new. Berry Harvest is the new one that I've just received, and Watercolor World I've had for a while, and I kind of thought it would be fun to try that too, but that's okay. We're going to start with Berry Harvest. Now, I happen to have the largest clear block that this fits on. If you have the old Stamparatus, then you can use that as well. And how I use this, when I didn't grab my block, was I literally put the sticker on the back of the background stamp and stuck it on here and worked right on top of the stamp case. So I don't really feel like it's necessary to have the large block. I have them because I like them, so I'm going to use them. You need some paper, and we're going to use white. And what I'm going to suggest is that you cut your regular size sheet of 8.5 by 11 into 4 squares, or 4 rectangles, I guess. And so you're working on a piece that's larger than the layer you would cut it down to. And that way, if your edges are not perfect, or you like sort of one side a little bit more than another, you've got a little wiggle room to trim them down. So I've just cut this into 4 small pieces of 4 1/4 by 5.5. And you'll see that my stamp has some staining on it. That is totally fine. This has come from the pastels, but when I stamp down here, it's been cleaned. It's not going to come off. It is just that they left a residue, which I completely forgot about when you do this direct to the stamp technique. The other thing you're going to need is a water spritzer of some kind. You might have something kicking around, or you might have the 2-pack that Stampin' Up! Sells. I think they're around $4. And I write on this one H2O only, so that I know that I'm only using water in this particular one. That's what we're going to need for activating this a little bit. Now, here's a couple of things that I have played with ahead of time. This is the first one. So this was a full panel, and I added the pastels directly to the stamp, spritzed with water, as I'm going to show you, and stamped down the first iteration. I didn't care whether it was coloring anything in a particular fashion, but gave a really beautiful, like by that I mean, you know, berries being the right color and all that. I was just going for really color coverage, and gives it a real watercolor look. Then I re-spritzed it without adding any more color, and did another pass and I was able to get even more, another piece with color on it. And I watched a video where a gal did it on black paper, and I can kind of see it, but I can tell from the video you're not going to be able to see, just from my camera's view, this all that well. So I didn't feel that the black worked really well, but I re-moistened and put it on Starry Sky, and this does show up almost very neon looking. So it would depend what color of pastel and how dark the paper is. And then I thought, instead of doing it on these darker ones, I tried it once on this Daffodil Delight, because I wanted a contrast. I felt like perhaps the Night of Navy isn't showing up great on here because it's such a dark blue with a dark blue. So I went with this one and kind of got a different look altogether. So I've tried a few little things, haven't put them on any cards, mounted them yet, but we're just playing and having fun. So let's start with the stamp right here, and we will pick different colors tonight. So I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana. Actually, it must have used that because I can see that it's been used a little bit more on the end. Yeah, I haven't used these a lot. So we'll pick this one, Granny Apple Green, and let's use the Gorgeous Grape, and maybe the Daffodil Delight or the Mango. I wonder what the difference is. Ooh, the Mango is a lot more fluorescent-y, so I'm going to go with the Mango, I think. All right, so then I just got going with it. Added some color and some direct to stamp, really simple, really straightforward. And then I kind of went over here and did a few others. I used the same color for a while and sort of filled in as I went. And you can see as you're adding and applying this direct here, you're going to see where the blank spots are, even if it does get stained. I hadn't thought about it, but I could probably use the Stays-On cleaner, and I bet that would clean up this staining part. We're going to see if this stain will transfer or not. That's something I didn't test out, but kind of fun to just be playing tonight. It's a hot night in southern Ontario. We want to stay away from that heat and humidity, and being in the basement to craft is a great idea. So I'm kind of overlapping some of the colors too, which I'm completely fine with. So where the yellow or the Mango Melody and the green are meeting, that way I know that I don't have any spots that are blank. And so as you mix colors together, they will have a little bit different look. Let's add some down here and some here. Maybe these guys. Oops, get my finger off there. And some up here. And the darker you lay it down, or the harder that you apply it, will be giving you an indication of how much color you're going to get. So now I'm going to go in with the grape. I'm literally going right over. So if you had a stamp that had more of a filled in image versus this line art that I'm working with, then it would look different again. And even if you've done some color on part of a leaf or a flower, you can go back in with the pastel over top and it'll just add a mixed color look. We're going to see how this all turns out. 3 colors works for me versus having 4 or 5. Look at these leaves over here. Remembering that this is quite a big stamp. It is almost 5 inches wide and we don't really need all of that, but this is going to work this way. So any background stamp, any stamp generally that you want to use, you can do with this technique. And I did read where, just blowing some of the extra off, where somebody set it afterwards with hairspray, and I didn't need to do that on mine, and the ones that I did, once they were dry, they're not wearing off, rubbing off at all, so that was good to know. All right, so now we're going to add the water, and using a fine mist from this spritzer. So I don't want to soak it so it's running, but I want it to be glistening, kind of looking wet, but not too many droplets. Then I'm going to grab my panel that I'm sticking on, and I'm going to fold my grid paper over. This will help me transfer the color. So I'm literally going around the outline of the stamp over the white layer that's here. Don't forget to hit it in the middle. And then when you feel like you've gotten enough, lift it up. And look at that pretty watercolor look. Oh, I like those colors together. So there's a spot that's kind of drippy there in the middle. That's okay. We're going to let this sit and dry, and it will round out a little bit. So we can go ahead and add more color. And I think I'll actually do that. I didn't last time, and so I think maybe I'll do that in some spots to get more of a defined color. So you have to kind of remember what colors you did where for this to work well. And the mango, which has come across quite yellowish looking. Mango Melody is a color we no longer have in the line on a permanent basis. That's okay. Add a little more over here. This is not absolutely necessary, but it will add a little more definition. And then your pastels will dry out, and dry up rather, and not chalk and fade away. All right. I bet this is going to come up a little bit darker too, which will be kind of cool. There we go. This will make a really beautiful set of thank you cards, or like a series of birthday thank you, thinking of you, anniversary with the same look about them. Add a little bit more green over here. There we go. Now that it is wet and we're adding the pastel to it, it should have a little bit different look to it. Might even be a little bit darker. I didn't think to wet it first. Alrighty then. Alright, we're going to get a range of colors, I think. Alright, we're going to add a little bit more spritz. Light touch is kind of the way to go. That was 4 little spritzes, maybe a little bit one. Oops, I missed the stamp entirely there. Okay, grab our next piece. It is pretty, isn't it? And stick this on top and flip it over and repeat the process of just pressing down and adding some color there. We'll see how this one turns out. That's the fun part of being creative. Oh, I like that even better. Look at how dark some of those spots are in comparison. Ooh, maybe we need to remember to spritz first. Okay, now we're going to go with some sort of second generation and add that onto this one. So we're not going to add any more this time except a little spritzing, because that'll have pulled a bit of water out. Looks like you watercolored it. It makes me look good. There we go. Flip this over. So we didn't add any more pastel, but instead we just added a little bit of water. And see this one? It's starting to flatten out as it's drying. And if it doesn't completely flatten out, you can use your heat tool to help with that if it's not fully dry and you're ready to use it, or you could put a heavy book or something on top of it. Okay, so here is the second generation of this one. Here's the second generation on the right. All right. And we'll do one more. So you can keep going. Don't recommend the black. Didn't think the black worked. So this time there's no water, but we're getting the colors up. So this might give you an even more faded, a lighter touch, a lighter look. It's a mega class in and of itself. One sheet of paper. Okay, so this one came up quite light. That's okay. Totally okay. All right, so we got a bunch of different looks. I'm going to take this over and clean that off afterwards. And these are almost dry. All right, but that's the different ones, and I think I like this one. Well, I do love this one a lot. It's very pretty and gentle and soft and subtle, but I like the boldness that came out of this one. So, and this one's nearly dry and just about flat. So one of the recommendations was to take aerosol hairspray and put that on it to allow it to fully dry, but I did not find that any of this flaked off. One person was showing taking a tissue, and this is how I knew that it wasn't coming off, because it was mostly dry and I used my tissue and I didn't get any residue. So just lightly touching. So maybe on some of your pieces that are quite a bit more wet, you might want to go in there, but I don't have anything on here at all. So that one's ready to go. This one had the most wet, I think, on it. So I could just go down and gently daub it to pick up any excess liquid. Still no color coming off. This one was the more dark color. So anyhow, that is our pastels, and something fun you can try and do with them. And it's fun, you're right, Lise. It's absolutely fun. It's fun to get some stuff out. So what I was challenging myself sort of to do in the next few weeks is to find some of the products on my shelf that I haven't been using or haven't used in a long time, and let's just get them out and play with them. Let's see what we can do with them. Because we buy a lot of products for crafting and we don't always use them to their fullest. So there we go. Thank you for watching and being along for the ride. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.